Hello, everyone. So today we are going to, for the next 20 minutes, talk about supply chain visibility for ocean freight. So today we will segregate this entire presentation into three major aspects. First of all, talking about what is the major problem which we are trying to solve, how we are going to solve as part of the second aspect, and then how this entire solution can move and become scalable enough in a rapid deployment phase. So let's get started. So what is the leading questions are we trying to solve? So we know that our supply chains are fragmented in nature. Moving goods from offshore manufacturing either to your central warehouses or regional warehouses or even to your end customers involves multiple transportation legs. That means moving on the ocean requires a pre-carriage, a main carriage, and an on-carriage. Can we get an actionable insights, fully integrated real-time visibility into the systems today? The answer is yes. But it comes with other aspects too. So once we have got the transparency, can we move this transparency, making the transportation planner manual work lesser with a prescriptive logistics concept? And can we make this transparency move into the entire organization and get tightly integrated into their business processes? And the answer today to this question lies with our solution. First of all, we would like to also discuss why it is important for business today about the supply chain visibility. We know increased supply variability and disruption, I think everyone has talked about, everyone knows about the COVID situation, so I'm not going to talk on that. Complex and fragmented nature, we just talked. Once we get this entire visibility, it can impact either to your inventory, production, or to your customer visibility. The companies who wants to move or take a move towards into a customer-driven logistics, it is highly important for them if they are ordering their goods from overseas. It becomes important that they should know where their goods are. And once they know where their goods are, they are able to say why and where, when it will reach to my customers, reducing the manual efforts, and finally, not just making this entire thing on the persons, making it completely process-driven, using autonomous and making better and smarter business decisions. What are the major challenges which business faces today? The current situation is that we have supply chains are completely data-rich today, but they have highly unprecise timestamps. The customers, on the other hand, have multiple systems through which their end-to-end business process flows. The transportation visibility is completely a black box. That means when the goods are moving on to ocean, no one knows where it is and when it will going to reach me, and all these ETA predictions requires highly manual work. Imagine you are transporting 1,000 containers in an year, and if you are spending at least in a day life of 60 days when the ocean is happening, and you are only tracking for 5 days and 5 minutes, that means 25 minutes each container, and multiplied with 1,000 gets down to 25,000 minutes. That means it's a lot of minutes which gets wasted down only onto the manual work. What does the business need? They need, of course, the accurate timestamps, minimizing the systems, but they also need a highly rapid deployment. They are able to respond quickly, and finally, one cockpit where they are able to see all their supply chain disruptions at one shot. And finally, they also do not want to only cater down to only one business-specific use case, but also to make all their use cases and this solution scalable to adapt across their supply chain. That means you have multiple parties, warehouse, transportation, suppliers, all should be on one complete platform. Now, how we are going to solve this entire problem is we have selected 4 major products in order to solve this entire problem. The first one is SAP IBP. SAP IBP takes care of the demand problem, but also it knows if there is a delay, where the impact is and how I can mitigate this entire impact too. The second is the Project 44. So Project 44 is a Westernacher partner, and it supplies with a high fidelity visibility data. As we said, it is quite important that the visibility data which we are receiving is of high quality. So Project 44 exactly does that. The third component which we have taken into account is LBN, Global Track and Trace. So Global Track and Trace becomes an important piece of innovation software in between the company's internal landscape to the external parties or visibility providers like Project 44 or Shipio or whosoever it is. And it collects all your execution data. That means the entire transportation execution is one platform able to handle all your shipments and provide you the real-time visibility in and then there itself automatically. Finally, we have SAP Transportation Management. The transportation management area makes sure that you are doing transportation planning with it, making carrier collaboration automatic, and finally responding to all the impact and the delays which are coming onto the supply chain by using a first prescriptive logistics concept. That means we mean with this that you can do a complete automatic rescheduling of the future legs if one of the leg is delayed. And finally, doing this, it predicts the ETA to your warehouse. And let's see how it will happen. So we have been tracking this entire container data from 31st of August, and within these 20 days, we see that there are multiple changes on the delivery date to the destination has happened. And let's see how.
Today, we are going to do a near real-time tracking of a purchase order. This purchase order is expected to be delivered on 25th of October 2022. The products in here are moving from a supplier site in Lee Harvey to Chittagong in Bangladesh into a warehouse. So as soon as a purchase order is created in an SAP ERP system, we send this purchase order for an advanced transportation planning in the SAP TM system. So once the SAP TM receives this information from ECC system, it creates a freight unit, and this freight unit creates automatically a planned transportation routing. As we know, the supply chains are fragmented and there are always transportation routings involved in moving a container from one continent to another continent. So freight unit gets from supplier location to Lee Harvey, from Lee Harvey to Chittagong, and from Chittagong to the warehouse. The advanced transportation planning system plans and reserves the capacity booking with your ocean carrier or via an LSP with the ocean carrier. And finally, the transportation planner also plans the freight order for the on-carriage stages. Now, once we have received the container number for this ocean booking, with where my products are loaded into which container, we start automatically the tracking for the port-to-port leg. As soon as the tracking is started, the tracking is done in the GTT environment. So we have created this shipment, the ocean shipment. And now today, as this is clearly near real time, and we started this tracking back on 31st of July, we already know today on 21st, 22nd of September that there is a delay of 7 days already. That means the planned date for this container was 11th of October, then it changed to 16th, and today it is 18th of October. Now we have received all this transparency. What do we do with it? Can we know that where currently the ship is? Yes, it could be completely showcased down that this where the ship is. The ship is in the Gulf right now with the ETA being expected as 18th of October. This is a predictive ETA which we are receiving directly from the P44 systems. Of course, this can be directly compared using the C-Rates website where the container is. So the containers is exactly at the same place. We receive these updates every 60 minutes from the P44 systems. So if you see, it's the same date which it reflects to. 18th of October is the time when the container will be delivered on the port of destination. Now we have this exactly required transparency. What should we do with this transparency is, based on Westernacher innovation, we send this entire information back to our ocean shipment booking, which receives this expected date of arrival. What it is, it's 18th of October and it is received yesterday on 21st of September. Once it is receiving this entire information, as we have the ongoing leg also planned, that means we also have an on carriage planned which was planned with the previous dates, needs also to be updated. So here Westernacher introduces the first prescriptive logistics concept that based on this delay, this change is automatically reflected on the on carriage freight order. The dates are rescheduled automatically. If you see now, the new date arrival to the warehouse is changed to 1st of November based on the delay received from the ocean carrier and P44. Now this information is quite important to say whether it is a delivery to your customers is impacted, or it's an impact to your production, or it's an impact to your inventory. This information is then directly communicated back to a control tower where the alert is automatically generated. So we see directly an alert and it's in the Bangladesh. That means this delivery is impacted and the timeline to this is 7 days of delay. And what impact is bringing to each of the purchase order and what is the real delivery is. This all happens in near real time with no touch hands process. This helps the supply chain visibility planners and even the replenishment planners to see where the impacts are on their supply chain at one screen in one go without any manual efforts.
Thanks. So now the billion-dollar question comes from customers is how much time does it take to implement this? So we actually implement this, the basic minimum use case, in 40 business days, and adding on top an intelligent visibility layer, which again takes another 40 business days. That means your first business use case can go live in minimum of 16 weeks. On the real-time tracking, we support 3 major options. That means integration with LBN and TM systems. Customers who have an advanced SAP TM system deployed, we can integrate there. The second is the SAP ECC customers. Basically, if they really want to consume this entire innovation and still have a problem, they can directly consume it within their legacy landscape. So they do not have to anything upgrade or something, but they can directly consume this innovation. And finally, the third option goes for the customers who do not want to build a platform approach and they just want to take a direct integration approach. We apply this entire information there as well. But on all these options, the time to value for real-time tracking goes in 8 weeks, plus an addition of on top supply chain control tower. The first concepts goes for 8 weeks more. What are the benefits? The benefits is that it's your requirements, your use cases, and it's packaged into our solution with the best practices, which gives you an immediate value and short implementation timeline, and definitely enhanceable to the adopting of the future requirements as well. That means it is completely scalable approach. Now, coming to the last part of it, How do we expand this? So right now, we only talked about door-to-door visibility, but moving on up till port-to-port visibility, sorry about that. And we have to expand this entire situation to a door-to-door visibility situation, making sure that all the players within the supply chain are onboarded onto one platform with the supply chain technical capabilities required are real-time visibility, delays and alerts, capturing the sustainability data, that means CO2 emissions, and on the other side, and finally, if you want to drive towards the customer-driven logistics, provides the customer logistics, customer visibility onto it, analytics, and finally, in the next phases of to it, it also provides a decision support, and finally, the supply chain control tower becomes completely autonomous across to support and take decisions which are available. But the question comes out is, if you have all these entire things, how do we achieve it? So we at Westernacher has developed a 4-step stage approach here to manage this entire transformation. The stage 1 is transparency, where the logistics and transportation control happens. The stage 2 is basically for proactive alerting, which is highly use case driven and can create maximum process optimizations into the organizations based on their most important business processes. These are the 2 parts which we showcased you today. The stage 3 to this is that the supply chain control tower start providing a decision support to either to replenishment planners or to the transportation execution experts. And finally, it turns down to pseudo-autonomous, where it will be providing insights on the decision automation through AI and the other technologies. So with this, we see that it's a 4-stage approach, but we can start small and then scale up later in the next phases. But this is only one part of the story which Westernacher has been driving it across. That means supply chain control tower becomes the first part of the digital supply chain. Westernacher Innovations focuses on operational efficiency, sustainability, and supply chain ecosystem as a whole. If we see down this, we are just not talking about now logistics. We are talking about demand-driven logistics capabilities. That means demand to manufacturing, to warehousing, procurement, and yard together make a circle of digital supply chain, Industry 4.0, and we have built innovations on top of this. That means robotics and automation, mobility, Internet of Things, drones, augmented reality, analytics, product availability are all been integrated closely with the SAP products on the warehousing sides and as well as on the manufacturing side. Worker safety is the one where we can receive everything of the IoT on the manufacturing directly into our ECC systems, supporting the workers in case of any mishap happens. And finally, my colleague Katarina already talked about the driver app, which can ease the driver jobs in case you have an internal fleet or you are using your own fleet for the transportation department. The second part comes out on the supply chain ecosystem, where you have already seen a control tower and real-time visibility, but also a collaboration platform across all the supply chain players is highly required. With this, we are using SAP Business Networks as the first part to drive these innovations along with Westernacher Thought. Finally, the part comes is on the sustainability to close this entire loop is to make sure we are able to do analytics across supply chain for sustainability, like the one examples which my colleagues have already talked from me back and from the others is CO2 monitoring, how it will happen. And with this one, we complete across operational efficiencies, supply chain ecosystems, and sustainability for all the industries at a stretch. So we are not talking only logistics, but we are talking entire digital supply chain here. So summarizing what we learned today, or what we have demoed, is a near real-time tracking container demo. You can go down to C-Rate's website. use the same container, and you would see that it's exactly at the same place. The first step to prescriptive transportation, then we have given you a time to value packages, our supply chain control tower vision, and finally the digital supply chain platform, which Westernacher has been working on top of it with these innovations. Then thank you, everyone.
Nitesh, thank you very much for your presentation. So, yeah, how can a better visibility help customers at the end of the day to save money?
Yeah, means, of course, I think it's a very valid question that, okay, you have got all this visibility. So I would say there are three major aspects. The first one is the damaged goods cost a lot of things. But if you know exactly at the environment when the products are being transporting, that means the damages could get lesser. The second part to this is the visibility. Make sure that it is providing the information early enough to mitigate the impacts which are coming to your production or to your customer deliveries. Finally, the part is you can avoid high late fee fines if you are the responsible guy for delivering something to the customers.
And how can the platform approach help customers to gain full visibility?
Yep. So the platform approach helps in a manner that it can highly reduce the IT implementation costs because we are connecting all the parties from an end-to-end supply chain at one place itself. Of course, the question would come out, okay, how do we choose this collaboration platform? The most important part is that whichever platform you're using has to get vitally integrated with your legacy systems because whatever you have developed in the last 10 years, you cannot throw away, but you can add this innovation as on top of this entire supply chain.
Perfect, Nitesh. Then there are no questions anymore. Thank you very much for your presentation. Thanks a lot.